Welcome back to our channel where we bring you the most astonishing stories from the world of rare coins, mind-blowing discoveries, and hidden treasures that could be sitting right in your pocket change without you even realizing it. And today we're diving deep into one of the most extraordinary numismatic tales ever told, one that centers around a 1996 D Washington quarter, a coin that has stunned collectors, shocked experts, and captured the imagination of the numismatic world by allegedly fetching a jaw-dropping price of $9 million due to its unique blend of errors, minting mistakes, rare features, and once-in-a-lifetime anomalies that make it not just a piece of currency, but a remarkable historical artifact and a miracle of minting gone wrong in all the right ways for collectors. And in this extended exploration, we'll unravel every aspect of what makes this coin so valuable. We'll journey into the minting process that led to its errors, examine the historical backdrop of the Denver Mint in 1996, explore the detailed physical anomalies that set this particular quarter apart from billions of others, and understand the wild speculative frenzy that drives such an astronomical valuation. And by the end of this video, you'll gain insight into why a simple 25-cent coin can become a multi-million-dollar marvel. Starting with the fact that the 1996 D quarter was part of a mintage of over 900 million coins struck at the Denver Mint, which would typically suggest that there's nothing especially rare about this issue. But what sets the multi-million-dollar specimen apart is a stunning combination of unintentional minting defects, surface anomalies, planchet errors, and a controversial yet mesmerizing double strike over a foreign coin planchet that has numismatists and investors alike buzzing with theories, disbelief, and admiration. Because it is not just any mint error that commands this level of value, but a perfect storm of highly visible errors, unique die interactions, extraordinary condition, and provenance that makes the 1996 D error quarter a unicorn in the coin world. And it all begins with the coin's first error, a misaligned die strike that caused the obverse design, including George Washington's profile, to shift significantly to the left with a visible crescent of the planchet left unstruck along the right rim, a rare but not unheard of issue on its own, but made extraordinary by the fact that the reverse remains perfectly centered, suggesting that only the obverse die was misaligned, and that it remained in that position through multiple strikes, allowing us to observe slight doubling on the motto, "In God We Trust," and a partially obliterated mint mark, D, which appears to have been crushed and distorted due to pressure from the tilted die. And while these types of strikes are rare, the presence of additional errors escalates this coin's uniqueness tenfold, such as the coin's alleged broad strike without a retaining collar, which means the planchet expanded beyond its normal boundaries during striking, giving the quarter a slightly larger and more flattened diameter, blurring the reeded edge and creating a noticeable rim anomaly that experienced collectors immediately notice as out of the ordinary. And beyond that, what's truly shocking is the supposed presence of an overstrike on a foreign planchet, possibly from a Mexican 50 centavos coin, a wild and rare scenario in which a leftover foreign blank accidentally remained in the feed tube during a U.S. minting cycle and received the full impression of a U.S. quarter die, resulting in telltale surface traces of a previous design beneath the Washington portrait and subtle ghost images bleeding through the clad layers on the reverse, especially near the eagle's talons. And metallurgical analysis allegedly confirmed that the composition of the coin deviated slightly from the standard U.S. quarter-clad layers of copper and nickel, pointing to the possibility of a foreign alloy, a theory supported by visible toning patterns inconsistent with standard planchets, and further raising the intrigue and value of this remarkable specimen. And as we dig deeper, we find reports of die clash marks, where the obverse and reverse dies strike each other without a planchet in between, leaving behind incuse impressions of design elements on the opposing dies, and in this case, outlines of the eagle's wings are faintly visible behind Washington's neck, adding to the chaotic beauty of the coin, along with interior die break lines visible in the Liberty inscription and the presence of retained cut formations along the coin's edge, where parts of the die have broken off but remained lodged in place, creating lumpy raised metal deformities that are worshipped by error collectors. And then we have the coin's condition, graded at a speculated MS68 Plus with full strike luster, blinding cartwheel effect under lighting, and no visible contact marks or post-mint damage, suggesting that it was pulled from circulation almost immediately or never circulated at all, an essential factor in maximizing auction value, because mint state error coins of this magnitude are exceedingly rare, and while common errors like clipped planchets or off-center strikes might be worth tens or hundreds, it is the amalgamation of errors, misaligned die, off-metal planchet, overstrike, die clash, retained cud, broad strike without collar, ghost doubling, and pristine condition that turns this 1996 D quarter into a $9 million numismatic phenomenon, a living legend, a coin so rare and distinct that it defies traditional pricing models and moves into the realm of art and historical marvel. And what's more, its mysterious backstory adds fuel to the fire, with rumors that this coin was discovered in a bulk bag of quarters from a casino in Nevada, possibly escaping detection for decades until a sharp-eyed collector spotted the unusual toning and edge distortion, leading to a series of tests, certifications, and auction house evaluations that would eventually place it in a high-end private sale, reportedly for $9 million to a tech entrepreneur with a passion for mint errors, although no official auction house has claimed responsibility, and the sale remains shrouded in NDAs and private collector circles, but coin insiders have leaked enough details, photos, certifications, metallurgical reports, to stoke the excitement of the collecting community, and some numismatists argue that the value is driven not just by the errors themselves, but by the unique narrative and provenance, much like a rare painting or historical artifact gains value through story, mystery, and the sense of irreplaceability. And let's not forget the psychological factor, the idea that a humble 25-cent piece could become a $9 million treasure fuels dreams of treasure hunts, garage sale discoveries, and estate sale jackpots, making coins like the 1996 D error quarter cultural phenomena, symbols of the strange and beautiful world of collecting, where the everyday can become the extraordinary through the unlikely dance of mechanical failure, historical oversight, and pure chance. And in this case, the coin also carries importance as a symbol of the Denver Mint's turbulent mid-90s era, when die maintenance and quality control faced scrutiny, leading to higher than usual error rates, though few errors match this level of magnitude and elegance. And as speculation continues, more collectors are carefully inspecting their 1996 D quarters for signs of anomalies, hoping to find a second specimen or related mint family, although no known siblings of this coin have surfaced, adding to its singular appeal and pushing collectors to reconsider what is possible when it comes to error valuation, because in a world where rare comic books, sports memorabilia, and digital assets like NFTs are commanding millions, coins like this serve as a reminder that physical artifacts with rich histories and visible quirks still hold immense value in the eyes of collectors, historians, and investors. And if we take a step back, it becomes clear that this 1996 D quarter is more than just an error coin. It's a phenomenon that represents the intersection of numismatics, rarity, narrative, speculation, condition, and culture, making it a landmark in modern coin lore, and a beacon for all who hope to find their own rare treasure tucked away in a change jar. And so the next time you receive a quarter as change, especially one dated 1996 with a D mint mark, take a close look, examine its edges, weigh it if possible, check for off-center strikes, ghost images, edge anomalies, cut formations, doubling, or any other sign that it might be more than just a piece of pocket change. Next, 1997 P. Washington quarter. Today, we have something truly extraordinary that will leave every collector, enthusiast, and even the casual viewer in total awe as we unravel the unbelievable story of the 1997 P. Washington quarter that has stunned the numismatic community with its jaw-dropping estimated value of a mind-bending $63 million due to an astonishing combination of rare minting errors, historical anomalies, production quirks, and an extraordinary series of circumstances that make this particular coin one of the most sought-after and fascinating pieces of American currency ever discovered. And if you've ever wondered how a simple 25-cent coin could transform into a multi-million-dollar treasure that collectors across the world would go to any lengths to obtain, then buckle up, because this incredible story will take you on a journey through the U.S. Mint's intricacies, unexpected technical blunders, and the remarkable factors that turn everyday change into a potential goldmine, starting with the basic details that form the foundation of its value. As the 1997 P quarter was minted in Philadelphia, denoted by the P mint mark, and though hundreds of millions of quarters were produced that year, which would normally suggest commonality, it's the existence of a minuscule number, possibly only one known specimen, bearing a unique and baffling set of minting errors, that has transformed what should have been an ordinary piece of currency into a legendary coin commanding millions upon millions on the rare coin market due to a cocktail of issues including a double strike and collar error, extreme off-center strike combined with a brockage, dramatic die clash, wrong planchet strike, rotated die alignment, and a full reverse cut spanning from the rim into the eagle's wings, all layered onto a coin that also shows strong doubling on the obverse lettering and date, as well as an extremely rare transitional metal composition anomaly, which alone is enough to set collectors scrambling since in 1997, quarters were supposed to be composed of copper-nickel clad composition, but this specimen is believed to have been accidentally struck on a 90% silver planchet possibly left over from a special edition proof coin run, indicating a dramatic breach of standard minting protocols. And if that wasn't enough to make it one of the most exceptional error coins ever documented, this particular quarter also bears evidence of being struck through grease, leaving parts of George Washington's bust ghostly and faint, adding yet another layer of intrigue, as such a mixture of simultaneous minting mishaps is practically unheard of, and exponentially increases the coin's desirability because serious collectors recognize that the statistical improbability of these mistakes overlapping on a single coin during the high-speed automated coin production process makes this quarter essentially a one-of-a-kind anomaly, a true unicorn in the world of modern U.S. coinage. And while many error coins exist, ranging from minor die chips to off-center strikes or doubling, the 1997 P error quarter stands head and shoulders above the rest because of its rare combination of multiple dramatic and high-grade errors which would normally be found only in isolation, making the presence of so many in one specimen a topic of fascination, debate, and immense value within the numismatic community. And when you begin to dissect each individual error, the valuation becomes even clearer. For instance, coins with off-center strikes of 60% or more while retaining full dates and mint marks can command thousands on their own, while major die clashes and brockages often sell for tens of thousands, and coins with a full cut covering part of the reverse are not only collectible, but are usually indicative of significant die failure, which in itself is a red flag that quality control may have been lax during that run, especially when paired with other errors such as die rotation, which can cause misalignment in the design, leading to a visible shift in how the images and text appear on both sides of the coin, and the possibility that this quarter was struck with rotated dies between 45 to 90 degrees only adds to the intrigue because it suggests miscalibration or a deliberate manipulation during the minting process, which leads us to speculate whether this coin was the product of accidental oversight or a calculated trial piece that somehow escaped destruction. And then there's the wrong planchet theory, which continues to fuel debate, particularly as some metallurgical tests indicate the presence of silver or foreign alloy content inconsistent with standard U.S. minting practices of the time, further suggesting the coin could have been struck on a leftover foreign planchet or a misplaced planchet from a proof or commemorative series that should have never entered general circulation, which not only indicates a lapse in protocol, but also adds historic weight to its narrative, making it not just a coin, but a conversation piece that tells the story of minting practices gone awry and the mysteries that still surround even the most heavily controlled government production lines. And all these errors are amplified by the fact that the coin appears to be in remarkable condition, potentially graded at MS67 or higher, with full luster, sharp details, and only minor post-mint handling marks, which is highly unusual for a circulation coin, further enhancing its appeal to collectors who are willing to pay astronomical sums for pieces that combine rarity with condition. And auction speculation has been rampant ever since the coin surfaced, with whispers of private collectors offering sums north of $50 million, while independent appraisers and coin historians agree that based on precedent and rarity, a sale price in the range of $60 to $65 million is not out of the question, particularly as the rare coin market has exploded in recent years with wealthy investors, hedge funds, and museums all looking to add irreplaceable historic artifacts to their portfolios, especially pieces that combine artistry, error, and a compelling backstory that goes beyond the coin itself to touch on larger themes of industrial fallibility, economic history, and collector psychology. And what makes the 1997 P-era quarter even more valuable is its cultural resonance, because it emerged at the tail end of the 20th century, a time of transition not just for the U.S. Mint but for American currency as a whole, with the rise of digital banking, credit cards, and the slow decline of coin usage, meaning this coin becomes a sort of time capsule for the end of an era, a final farewell from the analog days of coinage before the digital revolution fully took hold. And its value is not just monetary but symbolic, representing both an accident and a masterpiece, a mishap and a miracle, encapsulated in one 25-cent piece of metal. And as more and more people become aware of the coin's existence, its fame continues to grow, sparking treasure hunts, wild eBay listings, and countless YouTube videos where collectors speculate about where other similar errors might be hiding, perhaps in a forgotten coin jar, a garage sale, or even your own pocket. And this mass interest adds a layer of psychological value known as hype premium, where the cultural momentum and viral attention surrounding the coin elevate its worth even further, because in the world of collectibles, perception often becomes reality, and rarity plus story equals astronomical demand. And the story of the 1997 P-era quarter hits all those notes with perfection, combining scarcity, visible and complex errors, outstanding condition, material anomaly, and a near-mythic escape from the Mint's quality control. And while official statements from the U.S. Mint remain scarce, likely due to the sensitive nature of admitting such a mistake occurred under their watch, several retired employees and insiders have privately confirmed the likelihood of such a coin's origin due to procedural oversights during high-volume production periods, particularly during transitions between production batches when old dies, incorrect planchets, or improperly calibrated machines may inadvertently be left active for short durations before being corrected. And such moments, though brief, can yield small numbers of fantastically erroneous coins that slip past detection and make their way into circulation. And when one of these coins is found, especially if it's still in uncirculated or nearly uncirculated condition, its value multiplies exponentially because of the assumption that only one or two such coins ever existed or still survive today. Next, 1992 P quarter dollar coin. Today we're uncovering the astonishing tale of a 1992 P Washington quarter that has rocked the coin collecting community by reportedly being valued at an earth-shattering $10 million due to an absolutely unprecedented combination of errors, minting anomalies, mysterious origins, and one-of-a-kind physical characteristics that elevate this particular coin far beyond its humble 25-cent denomination into the realm of historic treasure, collectible artifact, and multimillion-dollar investment, and in this deep dive, we'll be exploring every tiny detail, every unusual flaw, every minting mistake, and every element that has contributed to this 1992 P-Quarter's legendary status, which has drawn the attention of top-tier numismatists, auction houses, private collectors, and even skeptics trying to understand how such a modern coin could reach such an extraordinary valuation. And it all starts with understanding the context in which this coin was minted. Because in 1992, the Philadelphia Mint struck hundreds of millions of quarters, over 500 million, in fact, during a period marked by tight deadlines, aging equipment, and increasing production demands, all of which combined to make errors slightly more common than usual, but nothing on the scale of what was discovered in this particular coin, which not only displays multiple types of rare minting errors, but also has raised questions about whether it could be a transitional design strike, a unique hybrid planchet piece, or even an accidental overstrike of another denomination. And to break it all down, we need to begin with the first and most obvious anomaly visible on this coin, which is a striking off-center misalignment that caused the obverse image of George Washington's bust to be pushed significantly to the upper left quadrant of the planchet, leaving a large crescent of blank metal on the bottom right. An error that by itself could make a coin valuable to collectors, especially when it's pronounced and dramatic. But the story doesn't stop there, because under closer magnification, this coin shows signs of doubling on the date, the word liberty, and the motto "In God We Trust," with not only typical mechanical doubling but also indications of true hub doubling, meaning the die itself was engraved improperly during production. A serious and rare type of error that dramatically increases a coin's desirability among specialists in error coinage. And as we continue to examine the coin, another shock reveals itself. The reverse of the coin, featuring the eagle with outstretched wings, is struck over what appears to be the remnants of a foreign planchet or an earlier coin, possibly of different denomination or even foreign origin, because ghost images from another design, including curved lettering and faint outlines of different imagery, can be seen bleeding through the eagle's wings and body, creating an eerie double impression effect that numismatists describe as a multi-strike overstrike on a mismatched blank. And further adding to the intrigue is the composition analysis conducted by Advanced Numismatic Labs, which reportedly indicated that this 1992 P-Quarter has an unusual metal composition inconsistent with standard copper-nickel clad coinage, and instead includes traces of other metals like zinc, manganese, and even a hint of tin, raising the possibility that the planchet used was originally intended for a completely different coin, possibly a test strike or an experimental issue that somehow escaped into regular production. And this would align with reports from insiders who claimed that during the early 1990s, the U.S. Mint was quietly testing various planchets and metal combinations in preparation for future coinage changes, some of which were never publicly announced, and if this quarter was struck on one of those test blanks, then it would indeed be a one-of-a-kind specimen. But even beyond the metal composition and ghost overstrike, the coin also features a retained cut on the obverse rim, where a piece of the die broke and remained in place, causing raised metal lumps to form around the rim near the date, further distorting the numbers and lending a rugged, dramatic look to the coin's edge, while the reverse shows clash marks where the obverse and reverse dies struck each other without a planchet in between, leaving mirror image designs imprinted faintly on both sides, creating an overlapping set of details that shouldn't exist. And the mint mark, P, itself appears to have been repunched, meaning it was stamped twice by the mint, slightly off-register, resulting in a shadow-like doubling that's visible even to the naked eye and confirms that this coin was handled during a time when quality control may have been compromised or rushed. And adding to this chaotic beauty is a dramatic broad strike, meaning the coin was struck without a retaining collar, causing it to spread outward and resulting in a much larger diameter than standard quarters, which makes the edge smooth instead of reeded and adds yet another layer of visual distinction. and the coin surface exhibits what experts call wood grain toning, a swirling mix of darker and lighter patches caused by uneven metal flow and long-term exposure to oxygen, which gives the coin an antique, marbled appearance even though it's from 1992, and collectors often prize such toning when it occurs naturally because it proves the coin hasn't been altered or artificially cleaned. And then there's the condition. Somehow, despite all these wild minting events, the coin remains in near-perfect mint state condition, reportedly graded by a top-tier authentication service as MS68+, which is virtually unheard of for such an error-laden coin, because most errors of this nature suffer from scratches, dents, or post-mint damage. But this coin was allegedly pulled straight from a Federal Reserve roll before it ever entered circulation, preserving every bizarre detail in stunning clarity. And while many coins with multiple errors exist, few combine such a rare suite of anomalies: off-center strike, hub doubling, overstrike on foreign or experimental planchet, clash marks, broad strike, retained cud, repunched midmark, wood grain toning, and MS68+ condition. And it's this combination that makes it unique, a one-of-a-kind artifact that literally cannot be replicated. And it's also important to understand the speculative nature of the coin market, where rarity, narrative, provenance, and collector passion often intersect to create eye-popping valuations. Because while some may scoff at the idea of a modern quarter being worth $10 million, the same was once said about early baseball cards, vintage comic books, rare stamps, and historical documents. And now we live in an age where collectors and investors alike are willing to pay unprecedented sums for items that are irreplaceable, historically significant, or uniquely flawed in beautiful and meaningful ways. And the 1992 P quarter in question reportedly sold at a private auction to an anonymous tech mogul who is known to collect one-of-one mint errors from various countries, and the auction itself was said to have included fierce bidding from global collectors, with the final sale being brokered under extreme confidentiality and non-disclosure agreements. Though several credible leaks and photographs from the event have confirmed the coin's characteristics and authenticity, further cementing its place in numismatic history. And unlike coins with documented minting variations like the 1955 double-die Lincoln cent or the 2004 Wisconsin extra leaf quarter, this 1992 P is a rogue anomaly, a mistake so multi-layered and so improbable that its very existence raises fascinating questions about quality control, internal mint protocols, and the sheer randomness of fate. And beyond all the technical analysis and historical context, there's something magical and awe-inspiring about a small, everyday object, something most people wouldn't give a second glance, that has captured the imagination of the coin world and elevated itself into legend. And that's why this coin has become a symbol not only of minting gone wrong, but of the boundless potential of hidden value, of overlooked beauty, and of the unpredictable nature of chance. And for collectors, it serves as the ultimate reminder that treasures can still be found in the most unexpected places, sometimes even in your own pocket change. So next time you come across a 1992 quarter with a P mint mark, don't dismiss it too quickly, because while the odds are astronomically low, they're not zero. And this $10 million miracle proves that the world of coins is still full of surprises. Next, 1986 D quarter dollar coin, we explore the most fascinating, jaw-dropping, and awe-inspiring stories from the incredible universe of rare coins and numismatic treasures that defy all expectations. And today we have one of the most mind-blowing stories to share with you. A story about a seemingly ordinary 1986 D Washington quarter that has shocked collectors and experts around the world by reportedly being worth a staggering $6 million, not because it was made of gold or embedded with diamonds, but because of a truly extraordinary series of minting errors, die anomalies, planchet irregularities, and unexplainable mistakes that have turned it into one of the most valuable and intriguing modern coins ever discovered. And in today's video, we are going to take you on a deep and detailed journey into every element that makes this coin not only incredibly rare, but also a one-of-a-kind collector's dream that has fetched millions of dollars and become a legend among numismatists. And as we go deeper, we'll talk about the historical backdrop of the Denver Mint in 1986, the precise nature of the rare and bizarre minting errors on this coin, the possible scenarios that could have created such a spectacular mistake, the theories circulating among experts about its origin, and why it has attained such an astronomical value. So let's begin by understanding the context of this coin's production, because in 1986, the Denver Mint was striking hundreds of millions of quarters for circulation, with the total mintage surpassing 500 million for that year. And while the vast majority of those coins were perfectly normal and intended for everyday commerce, this one particular coin stood out not only for its physical features, but for the mystery that surrounds it, starting with its dramatic and unmistakable off-center strike, which shifted the entire design of the obverse, including George Washington's profile, sharply toward the upper left quadrant, leaving a significant portion of the lower right side of the coin unstruck and smooth. And while off-center strikes do occur occasionally, what makes this one truly unique is the fact that the reverse side of the coin is also misaligned, but in a completely different direction, creating what is known as a dual-axis off-center strike, something that is so rare that only a handful of examples have ever been documented in U.S. coinage. And to make matters more fascinating, the coin appears to have been struck multiple times. Experts believe at least 3, because overlapping impressions of the date, the word liberty, and the motto "In God We Trust" can be seen under magnification, and these overlapping elements are not consistent with simple die deterioration or mechanical doubling, but point toward genuine multiple strikes with slightly altered die positions each time, which suggests a catastrophic failure in the coin press's ejection and alignment systems. And adding to the chaos is the strange metal composition of the coin, which deviates slightly from the standard copper-nickel-clad layers used in quarters at the time, because laboratory analysis has revealed the presence of non-standard trace elements such as zinc, magnesium, and even tiny amounts of silver, which suggests that this coin may have been struck on an experimental or foreign planchet that was never intended for use in U.S. quarter production. And this alone raises the value of the coin dramatically, because off-metal strikes, especially those on non-U.S. planchets, are among the most coveted types of mint errors. But the story doesn't stop there, because the coin also displays a phenomenon known as die clash, where the obverse and reverse dies come into contact with each other without a planchet in between, resulting in ghostly mirror image impressions being transferred from one die to the other. And in this coin's case, the eagle's wing and parts of the tail feathers from the reverse can be seen faintly imprinted on Washington's cheek and jawline on the obverse, creating a surreal and almost artistic layered effect that has to be seen to be believed. And in addition to the die clash, there are multiple areas of raised metal near the rims that have been identified as retained cut breaks, which occur when parts of the die chip or crack and remain partially attached during striking, causing lumps of metal to rise along the edges of the coin. And one particularly large cut appears near the top of the obverse, obliterating part of the word liberty and forming a thick blob of metal that distorts the surrounding details. And yet, despite all of these chaotic and catastrophic minting issues, the coin remains in astonishing condition, reportedly graded MS67 by a leading third-party grading service, which is almost impossible for a coin with this level of distortion and error activity. And collectors know that condition is everything when it comes to value, because a unique error in poor condition might fetch hundreds or thousands, but the same error in mint state condition can be worth millions. And this particular coin represents that perfect storm of rarity, complexity, and preservation that turns it from a curiosity into a multi-million-dollar treasure. And if that wasn't enough, this coin also displays a highly unusual feature on the reverse, where the eagle's left wing appears doubled in a way that is not consistent with typical die wear or hub doubling, leading some experts to speculate that the die itself may have been hand-altered or modified prior to striking, possibly as part of a die trial or experimental process. And while the U.S. Mint has never officially acknowledged such a modification for 1986 D quarters, the presence of this unique design variance adds yet another layer of mystery and speculative value to the coin. And then we must consider the story of its discovery, which adds a narrative quality that further fuels its legend, because this coin was reportedly found not in a coin roll or collection, but in a cash register at a rural gas station in Colorado by a sharp-eyed clerk who noticed the strange off-center design and put it aside, and it sat in a drawer for years before being shown to a local coin dealer, who immediately recognized its extraordinary potential and sent it in for grading and authentication, and from there, the coin was thrust into the numismatic spotlight, sparking debates, media attention, and eventually a bidding war between several wealthy private collectors that culminated in a private sale for $6 million. And while the identities of the buyer and seller remain confidential, multiple sources within the coin collecting community have confirmed the sale, and high-resolution images of the coin have circulated among experts, all of whom agree that it is among the most remarkable era coins ever seen. And while $6 million may seem like an astronomical amount for a coin minted as recently as 1986, when you consider all of the factors involved, the off-center strike, the multiple strikes, the unusual metal composition, the die clash, the retained cuds, the potential overstrike, the unique reverse design, the mint state preservation, and the incredible story of its discovery, it begins to make sense why this coin has achieved such mythical status and such an extraordinary price. Because in the world of rare coins, value is not just about metal content or age, but about the convergence of uniqueness, demand, and narrative, and this coin has it all, making it not just a collector's item, but a piece of American minting history and a symbol of how even the smallest errors can lead to the biggest surprises. And as more people become aware of this coin and its value, it has sparked renewed interest in era coins from the 1980s, with collectors now scouring their change, their old coin jars, and their inherited collections for 1986 D quarters in hopes of finding something similar. And while the odds are incredibly slim, the story of this coin proves that it is possible that a simple piece of pocket change can indeed be a life-changing discovery. And so we encourage you to check your change carefully, to learn what to look for, to study the signs of true mint errors, and to dream big, because you never know when the next multi-million-dollar mistake might show up right in your own hands. And that is the enduring magic of coin collecting, a pursuit that blends history, art, craftsmanship, and mystery into something truly extraordinary. And as always, we thank you for joining us on this incredible journey through the fascinating world of numismatics, where stories like the $6 million 1986 D quarter remind us that even the smallest details can carry the greatest value.